Join us, the Mr. and Mrs. Morgan you know, for a new 15-minute weekly recap about the most recent episode of Survivor Season 42.
Come on in. We'll appear in your podcast feeds every Wednesday morning, so you're all caught up before the newest episode airs on Wednesday night.
Like, subscribe, and share while you outwit, outplay, and outlast.
Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know Podcast Network presents Balls and Brew.
Hello and welcome back to the flagship sports podcast here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network. I am your host, Rod Morgan. With me, as always, is my co-host from North Carolina, where I don't know how happy he was to see the Tar Heels beat Coach K on his farewell night. Mr. King, were you excited to see the Tar Heels ruin Coach K's farewell night, or how did that go?
It was a big hubbub down here. I really didn't care that much because I really don't like Duke or North Carolina, but Krzyzewski is probably the greatest coach in NCAA history right now. I mean, he's definitely neck and neck with John Wooden, right?
I mean, you know, I like the general. The general's going to throw a chair at you right now for not mentioning his name in this discussion.
Listen, if Mike Krzyzewski is the best coach, that also reflects well on the general since he played and coached underneath the general.
There we go. Listen, any pro general talk is good on this podcast. Somebody else who I know is a fan of the general and works at his former institution. That is our producer, Jimmy Jamriska. Jimmy, hello.
Hello there.
Now, this is normally the time that our guy Josh Williams is off, Jimmy. We normally say goodbye to Williams for this week until next week for March Madness, but we had so much breaking football news that I think it'd be a good idea to bring the handicapper back. What do you think?
I think so. Everything happened this week. Everything.
Yeah. So joining us one more time to talk football before he gets ready to take a hiatus from the Balls and Brew podcast for a little while is our handicapper, Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? A lot of action happened this week.
Definitely. I want to start right here, though, with something I know you and Chris are definitely excited about. I'll give you guys 30 seconds each about your Indiana Hoosiers who won today versus Michigan and probably got themselves in the tournament. Williams, you start.
Thank God. What a game. Came back from 17 points down. Oh, my God. Just thank God they actually beat a decent team. First time in 10 tries, I think, they beat Michigan. So that was awesome. And I think they're in right now. They're not safely in, but it would behoove of them to beat Illinois tomorrow to secure the bid. But just good God. It's all the weight in the world, the pressure is off our shoulders because we actually won a decently big game.
Chris, let me ask you this real quick, and then you can do your IU take. But do you think it's quite possible that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who are choking away a game right now versus Virginia Tech, might find their way out and IU might find their way in?
Right now, it's very possible. Notre Dame, I think they're the last four in.
Even though they were the 2 seed in the ACC, which speaks to how down the ACC was this year.
Yeah, the ACC was a bad year for the ACC, which is usually about one of the stronger basketball conferences year in, year out, especially. It was like everyone took a hiatus because they knew Duke was going to run the tables, and they almost did for the most part. Going back to IU, though, today's game, it goes back to our coach this year, Mike Woodson, and his emphasis on defense, because that's what won us this game. You hold Michigan to 9 points in the last 13 minutes to come back from that 17-point deficit. That was lockdown defense. That was hustle. That was good, solid Indiana basketball that I've been waiting for. That was great.
All right, Jimmy, everybody on the campus excited about the victory today?
I was in a meeting, and I got a text from my mom. Sue Jam texted me, and she goes, "Oh, my God, they won." I said, "They won?" And everyone's like, "What? They won?" And they all got on their phones real quick, so it was kind of funny.
Nice. There you go. All right. Now, that's the NCAA, who has a tendency to do some very dumb things. And, Mr. Williams, I want to bring you in here because you were the first one to alert me to this, and then I heard about it on SportsCenter. Explain to people what happened to Bellarmine. Is that the way you say the name of the school, Mr. Williams?
Yeah, I've actually heard it pronounced a couple different ways. Bellarmine. Yeah, it was crazy. They have actually are not allowed to be in the NCAA AA tournament this year because they're in a transition mode. They have to wait 4 or 5 years to get in. But they were playing in their conference championship game against Jacksonville, and if they were to win, then they would get an NIT bid. Jacksonville had to win to get in. If Jacksonville lost, then the automatic bid would go to Jacksonville State, their arch rival. So ended up being Bellarmine, ended up winning. They play a lot of Jimmy Chitwood open gate style from Hoosiers basketball. So it's very unusual, but you don't see it very often. But it was a great story. Bellarmine will be in the NIT, and it was just kind of an awesome story there.
It's a ridiculous rule. They were allowed to make the jump to Division I. They're allowed to get into the Atlantic Sun Conference. They win the conference tournament. They should be allowed to play in the dance. I don't see any other argument that you can make.
Now, let me ask you this. You said that they were a little bit like the Hoosiers, or the Milan team. Is there anybody on the team that at the beginning of the year said, Coach stays, I play, Coach goes, I go? Did they have anybody on their team that did that?
I heard that was official. That was the official speech before the season. Yes. Getting back to like why they do this, they put in these financial barriers. So if you do this, you have to prove that you can be viable without receiving postseason funds. I think they basically do this because they don't want to have a million teams in Division I. We already have way too many teams in Division I basketball. There's like 358 teams. There's 2 more joining next year. And so I think they do this to discourage teams from jumping into the Division I because they got to wait 5 years to get into the tournament. And so for that reason, they don't want to have 500, 600, 700 teams in Division I. So for that reason, I kind of get it, but it still sucks for Bellarmine. I understand.
So the NCAA does something that's motivated by money. I'm absolutely shocked to hear that the NCAA has made a decision that was motivated by money. They never do this.
Yeah, come join Division I. We ain't giving you nothing for 5 years.
Pretty crazy. But
Ridiculous.
somebody who didn't get nothing, somebody got a whole heck of a lot, a huge bag, possibly one of the biggest contracts in NFL history, was one Aaron Rodgers. So let's talk a little bit of football in the QB carousel that we saw at work this week before we move on and talk to breaking, earth-shattering news about baseball actually coming back. But we'll get there in a couple of minutes. Mr. Williams, do you think it's a bigger deal that Rodgers is going back to Green Bay for all of that money? Or is it a bigger deal that Wilson is going to the Broncos? Or is it a bigger deal that the Colts got rid of Carson Wentz? You know what my answer is, but I'll wait for yours.
Oh, man. I mean, I think it's a bigger deal that the Broncos got Russell Wilson. He's finally out of unfrozen caveman Pete Carroll's offensive play calling. And hopefully Nathaniel Hackett can be a lot better, although Hackett has not been that great in previous stops, but anything has got to be better than Carroll. And he's got a ton of weapons, man, a ton of weapons in Denver. He's got a good defense. I've said this for the last couple of years. All this team has needed is a good quarterback, and they're getting an above-average quarterback. So I just think anybody who thinks Russ was washed, I mean, he played behind one of the worst offensive lines probably in the last 4 or 5 years consistently. So he always put up numbers. He got dinged up last year. So I think the Broncos got a steal, actually, even giving up two ones and 2 twos. So I think Russ is the biggest story.
There we go, Russ. Moving on to Denver. Jimmy, you know that I've been pretty slanted against Aaron Rodgers most of this year, and am I supposed to just say everything's okay because all Aaron was trying to do was get a big, huge bag of money? Because it seems that was all he was trying to do in this, because we've really gotten nowhere considering all the complaints he lodged against the Packers over the last year.
Well, it's reported by Ian Rappaport he had that big money, but reported by Aaron Rodgers he did not sign for that money yet. But it's going to be around there somewhere. Listen, I think he just wanted to see if they were going to do what he wanted them to do. And it really, if you look at it, whatever anyone had to give up to get Aaron Rodgers was going to make them worse. The Packers do have a very good regular season team. If you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, you're not going to find anybody. So I think they've got the best chance to win and get back to the playoffs. But it's that playoffs that they need to make another step, though, because they haven't done anything recently.
Yeah, Chris, what do you think of this Aaron Rodgers, being a complete diva for a year, and now he's just back in Green Bay as almost nothing happened, and
That's
Russell
a loaded
Wilson
question.
and Russell Wilson in Denver. Chris, which was the bigger deal to you?
I think the bigger deal is Russ going to Denver. I don't know if it improves Wilson's chance to get a Super Bowl ring or not. I'm not sold on Denver automatically being a contender in the AFC yet. I think we all pretty much knew that the Packers were going to do what they can to keep Rodgers around because Rodgers wins football games, and that solidifies their dominance over the NFC North, which directly usually gets them a bye in the playoffs. It didn't work out this year because San Francisco was trying to make a golden run, but Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and he should be paid like it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. As much as I get disappointed with the way Aaron comports himself and how he handles his business, his play on the field is not to be trifled with. So I personally think it's actually kind of a bigger deal for the Packers because I was kind of worried that the Packers might implode upon themselves and that they might actually have to trade Aaron Rodgers out of there, and then that would maybe give the Bears a chance in the NFC North, and nobody wants that. So I'm happy to see that Rodgers is back there and that the Bears will continue to flounder into nothingness. I'm just trying to get the Bears fans go here. But let's talk about the biggest QB carousel move, all right? You guys can have your Russell Wilson news. You guys can have your Aaron Rodgers news. Us Colt fans rejoice. No more Carson Wentz. Jimmy, you were happy for me when you saw that news.
I could just see the Minshewmania signs being put up in your basement right now. I'm very excited for you. Yeah, it's
I'm wearing a Gardner Minshew jersey right now, Jimmy. Let's get him to Indianapolis.
Carson Wentz, it didn't work, and I cannot believe the Redskins gave up what they did for him. Well, they are paying his entire salary, which gives the Colts a lot of flexibility. But who can they pick up is my question, because Jimmy G, yeah, people like Jimmy G. He's hurt all the time, hasn't won with San Francisco, who had a great, a really great team around him. I kind of like your Minshew. I've always kind of liked that idea just to get somebody in there. I really hope the biscuit shows up, though. Let me tell you, it would make for some great audio on the More You Know Podcasting Network.
Now, the biscuit's going to go to New York, where his former offensive coordinator is, right? That's what I keep hearing. Mr. Williams, what are we to think of with the Colts here, moving on from Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I mean, Wentz was not good last year. That's not a newsflash to anybody. But before you guys throw me off this pod, I was surprised at some of the stats that he put up. He was actually top 10 in touchdowns last year, top 10 in QBR, and he was tied for the third least amount of picks thrown out of NFL starters. Honestly, when I looked those stats up, I was shocked. So I get it. I get it that he was terrible in certain games and certain situations. I understand. He is atrocious, and he has to protect the ball better. But
he's good.
But he's like actually sometimes good, and I think that's what Washington has seen, and some of these coaches think that they can fix everybody. And he actually had for how bad of year he actually had a decent year with Reich. So I don't know. Carson Wentz is mind-boggling.
I think you're kind of right, Williams. I think that the Redskins saw the stats. That's 3,500 yards passing. That's 27 touchdowns versus 7 interceptions, which is much better than any quarterback they had last year. I think they looked at the stats and thought, we can't get any worse than what we had, and this is a lot better. I don't think they watched enough game film, though. With those types of stats, you expect it to be a better game manager behind center, and we didn't have that. Whether that's more Reich's fault or Wentz, some of the decision-making that Wentz had in certain situations was atrocious, like Rod would agree. But those stats don't show you exactly how that season went. I did hear a quote from a random chat room that I was going through earlier this week where someone claimed Wentz is just made of glass butter. He's that brittle. He's going to get hurt. He's not going to play a full season, and that's something you always have to worry about too. I think Washington saw the stats and said, let's do it. I don't think they watched enough game film.
All right, so the QB carousel is now up and running. We heard the name Jimmy G get thrown out there. There's a few other guys out there. Your Jameis Winston could still end up landing somewhere. You got Marcus Mariota. Mitchell Trubisky's name's been thrown out here. Mr. Williams, my question to you, though, is we're in a bit of a depressed market, it seems to me. So there's no chance Jimmy Garoppolo gets out of San Francisco for anything less than at least a first-round pick and other stuff. The Colts don't have a first-round pick. Don't you think that's going to be difficult in their mission to try to get Jimmy G, who it seems a lot of Colt fans want?
Man, if it's me, I'm not giving up a first for Jimmy G. He's way too unreliable in big spots, late.
Well, the Colts don't have one anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, he's too injury prone. I mean, he pissed down his leg in 2 huge spots in the Super Bowl.
That's fine. We're used to that as a quarterback in Indy. We saw plenty of that last year.
Yeah, I mean, he's fine, but I mean. Yeah, there's all kinds of quarterbacks out there. Watson's still out there. I don't think they trade within the division, but yeah, Minshew, Jameis, Jimmy G, Mariota, Trubisky. How about Fitzmagic?
Red Rifle.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. He's still coming off an injury. Will he even be ready before the beginning of the season?
Backup, baby.
I mean,
Fitzmagic's
got
best
hurt
as a backup anyway. You let another guy go for 3 games, then you bring Fitz in, and he goes nuts for 7. Then you have to sit Fitz for the end of the year. That's how it goes with Fitz.
Fitz got hurt in week 1, so he should be fine.
So there you go. You're not a Colt fan, Mr. Williams. Who would you like to see the Colts land as just an overall NFL observer?
I would love Minshew, man. I would love Minshew.
Yes.
Because this is going to sound corny coming from like an analytical guy, but like the dude plays with a ton of heart and he doesn't make mistakes like Wentz does. And all you need with the Colts is, well, first of all, Ballard has to get a deep threat. He has to get a speedster on the opposite side of Pittman. I mean, that's why the offense didn't work last year. I mean, it worked as well as it could have. I mean,
you mean the Ghost didn't perform for the Colts?
No,
it's shocking that T.Y. Hilton didn't show up and perform for the Colts. I'm floored by that.
You have to get some speed on the other side. Pittman is a really good number 2 wide receiver. But you have to get some, and actually he can be like a low end number 1 wide receiver. I'm not saying that he can't, but you have to get some speed to stretch the field, and a possession receiver wouldn't hurt either. So, yeah, I mean, dude, I wouldn't mind Minshew going there at all.
What I hear some people saying is that Philadelphia would much rather get rid of Jalen Hurts than Gardner Minshew. I mean, like, is Gardner Minshew the belle of the ball, and I'm just not realizing this? Does everybody want Gardner Minshew, Jimmy? Is that what's happening to me now? I've been on the Gardner Minshew train for a while. I'm just saying, I staked my claim early.
I think you've actually been on the Wentz train the entire year. I never heard you mention Minshew before, Rod. I don't know. Yeah. Listen, I think it just makes the most sense because of everyone else that we mentioned. They've all got a lot of baggage, and Minshew, it was more of a situation he was in than anything. So I think that's where, like, if the Colts get Minshew, you're pretty excited no matter who you are because it's something new. But if they get Teddy Bridgewater, are you excited at all about that?
They'll be covering left and right with Teddy Two Gloves. Williams tells us about that all the time.
So yeah, I
Teddy
just think,
KGB.
I just think it's the most upside, and that's what they need. They need upside.
The Colts are absolutely not going to draft a rookie, though, Chris, right? Like, we're not going to see the Colts make the mistake of bringing a rookie onto this team that's still loaded with talent, are they?
I would not be surprised if they take a flyer on some 3rd-round quarterback from a mid-major conference. We've seen mid-major quarterbacks succeed in the NFL numerous times over the past years that have been taken late. So I would not be surprised if they take, one of those 3rd-round picks that they got and use it on a rookie. I don't think that rookie is going to be looked at to start unless they completely just fumble free agency and don't get any kind of veteran. I don't know, but none of these quarterbacks that are free agents right now, and still a lot of confidence. No, I mean, if you want to go someone with any kind of track record, you got to go Mariota, and he has an injury history just as long as Carson Wentz does. So I don't know. All these quarterbacks, Minshew maybe the biggest question mark.
Stop it. We need to get you a ticket for the Minshew train. This is garbage. You need to be behind Minshew on this podcast. We are pro Minshew. We are speaking it into existence.
Yeah, your opinions and views do not represent all of us.
That's garbage. This is the Morgan Podcast Network. My opinions are everybody's opinions. That's how this thing works. Mr. Williams, I have a more important question for you now, all right? This is the last little NFL nugget I had for you. Is it possible that old Roger Goodell went to a couple of these team owners and was like, hey, guys, if you were thinking about doing some moves, I'd really kind of like those to happen right now because I have this Calvin Ridley situation that I would really love to get off the front page of the papers. Mr. Williams, do you think that's possible?
I mean, I don't know. The Goodell and the NFL, with their punishments, is laughable. I mean, Goodell looked at Ray Rice video punching his girlfriend. He's like, "What's that? That looks about 2 games, right? 2 games, sure." I mean, Greg Hardy. There was pictures of guns on the bed, and Brew's girlfriend pictures all over the place. Let's give him 10 games, but no, let's reduce it to 4 games, right? And then the NFL's been so hesitant on dipping their toe in the water for years with sports wagering, and then they pair up with these sports books, and then it's just like, oh yeah, shirts off, let's go cannonball vacation in Costa Rica, woo yeah, and then Ridley gets an 8-game parlay from FanDuel, and he's like, you're out. You're banished from the league.
Let's break down that bet real quick from a man who makes a bet. I mean, it's a ridiculous bet for him to make, right? An 8-leg parlay. I mean, come on, Calvin Ridley. What are you doing? Listen to Balls and Brew and take some handicap tips from Josh Williams. My goodness.
Well, I mean, it's a moronic move from Ridley because he's using his own phone with his name on it. Dude, what are you doing, man? Like, get one of your buddies, and you're doing it out of state, so they're going to track you. And so it's like, dude, just get one of your buddies, bet through them. I mean, this betting is instilled, or the lack of betting, having it be illegal, or for NFL players and even college players, is instilled at the college level where you cannot bet on games, man. You cannot do it. So what Calvin Ridley did was stupid. I mean, I'm not saying that it wasn't stupid, but like for him to get a year suspension, that's stupid also. Or some people saying that he should be banished from the league is ridiculous. But you can't. I understand that you can't put it like a suspension like 2 to 4 games because you want to have these standards in place where if anybody does it again, that they're going to feel it. So in my opinion, it should have been probably like 8 to 10 games. But like, whatever. I mean, it's just insane how Goodell puts these punishments out, man.
Well, and 2, he bet $1,500, right? He makes like 11 a year. Why would you do that? That's like me betting $1, and if I get caught, I get fired. It's just like why would you do that? That's so. I think the punishment fits the crime if he's going to be that stupid. I'm sorry.
Do you think that Calvin Ridley has received a call from Pete Rose at any point this week? Do you think Pete's called him to give him any advice?
I don't think he knows who he is.
Maybe Alex Karras or Paul Hornung. I'm just trying to come up with guys who've been suspended for gambling.
Pete Rose may have tried to get a hold of him, but Calvin Ridley probably was like, "What old white guy is trying to get in touch with me through what agent that I'm not familiar with? I'm not taking that call."
But that's the last guy that knew better about betting on his own sport and got in trouble for it. You know what I mean? That's the last guy that we really remember hearing anything about, unless somebody that I'm forgetting about here.
Well, like there's a big difference between what Pete Rose did versus Calvin Ridley too. Like Pete Rose was betting so much that even when he wasn't,
and it was illegal.
Turned out that when he wasn't betting for the Reds to win, people and other gamblers knew that he had doubts about it, so that could affect the way betting outcomes came. This is a guy who was injured, not playing, bet on his team to win. A season's too long. I don't care. You don't. In the grand scheme of things, domestic violence is a whole lot worse than betting, and I haven't seen a guy get suspended a season for domestic violence yet.
Josh Gordon's been suspended essentially 6 years for smoking weed. I mean,
right?
It's just, none of this stuff makes any sense.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. This is why people continue to get upset with Goodell and the NFL. Nothing is uniform. Nothing is universal. It seems to be how Roger feels on that day or who you are. I mean, it's a bit ridiculous.
Well, and the big thing is this Deshaun Watson is going to come up pretty quick here. The grand jury meets this week. Obviously, nothing is going to be settled this week, but to see what happens to him as opposed to this, I think it'll be interesting, because if Watson only gets half a season or something like that because of all the things he was allegedly done, that'll be another big moment for the NFL. So look for another big move with a big trade or something like that when that comes down.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like you that's what gets me is a guy loses half his career because of weed. Another guy loses a whole season for betting $15 when he wasn't even on an active roster. And then you got people like Deshaun Watson. You got people like, people accused of murder, like Ray Lewis. Like, yeah, he was acquitted and everything else like that, but you have people accused of rape, as in Ben Roethlisberger. You have people that got caught on tape, beating up their girlfriend, and they don't get near the punishment, and that's what drives me crazy.
You knew Chris was going to take a shot at Ben Roethlisberger there.
Of course.
Mr. Williams, you can get the final word on this.
Yeah, I mean, this was a regulated sports book that flagged Ridley betting under his own name. They reported it to the NFL. The NFL launched an investigation, and then it stopped this transaction from happening. Like, the uneducated are saying this is a huge failure. This thing worked. This showed that it worked. I feel like this is a huge success. This is what everybody wanted when it came to regulating betting. This shows that all these monitoring companies can help out in terms of holding up the integrity of the game. So, when you have
the bet didn't even go through.
No.
Oh, and then that defense then really shouldn't get suspended, but merely a couple games. He wasn't even allowed
because he bet an 8-leg parlay. That's why he should be suspended. That's ridiculous.
But suspend him for a couple games because he tried to make a bet. But if the monitoring companies worked correctly and the bet wasn't placed, then he didn't technically bet.
No, Chris. There's no betting on football. Okay, it doesn't matter. There's no betting on football. Like Mr.
You better
Williams
not
said.
let any of these players play fantasy football. Then
they're not allowed to. Tony Romo got in a bunch of trouble for that. Listen, I don't want to be in the position of defending the NFL here, but they're absolutely right. They have to suspend this guy, and they have to do it for a year. You can't be betting on football for all of the reasons you just talked about with the Pete Rose situation. The NFL is doing their best to try to not have any of those tentacles get onto their league, and by suspending Ridley for a year, I think they successfully did it.
Yeah, the next biggest thing is what is Stephen Ross's punishment? I mean, if this comes out where Flores actually has receipts on Ross, bribing him $100,000 to tank, like if that comes out, Ross should have to sell the team like that night. Like it should be done with. I mean, if you're going to suspend Ridley $1,500, making a bet for a whole year, and you're not going to do anything to Stephen Ross, that's totally ridiculous. Ross needs to lose his team. I mean, there's stories that Flores went on his boat with Ross had Brady with him, and Flores was like, "What the hell is this?" Turned around, walked away. He knows that you can't tamper with other players under contract. I mean, if Ross gets away with this, it's going to be ridiculous, and it's another just laughing matter of Goodell.
Yeah, I think tanking is worse for the NFL as far as its brand image and everything else. You want to talk about making a market for gamblers? You got a team that tanks after week 8. You know that's very rare that they're going to cover or even put a competitive team on the field. That's a bigger issue in my mind than some injured receiver placing a $1,500 bet.
In 2022, rich, powerful white guys don't get in any trouble. So I wouldn't hold your breath that Stephen Ross is going to get in any kind of trouble with the Dolphins.
When have rich white people gotten in trouble?
That's also true, but I just think that we're in even more of a cycle right now where no one is responsible, no one is apologizing, no one is ever wrong, and there's no chance that Stephen Ross gets punished for anything. But let's move off of football and talk about something that, quite frankly, I didn't think we'd be talking about maybe for this whole entire year. I've made it pretty clear that I have really soured on baseball. I was actually getting ready to the point where I was going to make a joke every Balls and Brew and be like, hey, is baseball back? No, it's not. Let's move on. But now I can't do that because baseball apparently ironed out an agreement today. Jimmy, tell me what's up.
All right, 5-year deal that was it was funny. The players, the group of players, the 8 group of players that were kind of the the people that were heading the negotiations, all voted not to ratify it. But then when it went to the rank and file, they voted to ratify it, which is interesting. It seems that everyone kind of got a little bit what they wanted here, Rod, okay? The big ticket items, we'll talk about some of the smaller ones too, but the big ticket items for fans would be expansion of the postseason to 12 teams. So this is going to eliminate the wild card one-game playoffs that have been very, very popular. And instead, we have the fourth and fifth wild card play each other in a 3-game series. The worst division winner and the sixth place team playing in a 3-game series, and then those the winners of those play the first and second seeds in the 7-game series. So that's the playoff there. Doubleheaders will be 9 innings with regular rules, which I am not a fan of because the games could go forever now. But doubleheaders will go back to 9 innings as opposed to 7. National League adopts the DH, which is huge. And then they're limiting the number of times a player can be optioned to the minor leagues. Now that's kind of the in season big things that are happening. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the draft and things like that coming up. But Rod, you don't like baseball anymore because of Tom Ricketts. Does anything in this kind of say, oh, that might be interesting, or are we just back to where we started before COVID?
For me, I'm still anti-Cubs until Tom Ricketts shows me that he's interested in spending money to put the actual product on the field for the Cubs to win. I'm going to be away from the Cubs. But as far as for the rest of baseball, man, I'm all for it, right? Let's get DH in there in the National League. Let's get some more action happening. But one thing I really wanted to see is I was happy if they were going to eliminate the shift. I think the shift is a scourge on baseball. The shift needs to go. Baseball has to become quicker and more fun and figure out a way to capture the imaginations of young people. And from what you're telling me right now, they didn't make any of those changes, and I think that's a mistake.
So they didn't, and Chris, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this too. But so they have formed a joint competition committee or competitive committee, I believe. It's made up of current players and some umpires and some people from Major League Baseball. And starting in 2023, they're going to look at pitch clock, base size, the shift, the auto strike and ball for the strike zone. They're going to look at that, and they give a 1 year, it's 1 year out that they would recommend something for change. Previously, the MLB could just say, hey, we're doing this in a year, and it's done. So this actually helps a lot with the players, Chris. What are your thoughts on the new deal, and are you excited to see some baseball back?
I'm surprised that they got the deal done. I'm not surprised that the executive board voted 8-0 against it, since 5 of those guys are represented by Scott Boras. It's very telling when the rest of the players and the teams overwhelmingly vote against the executive board. I thought that was interesting. I don't have a problem with the 12-team playoff field. I think, though, that they should reduce the games back to 140 games maybe. If you're going to expand the playoffs like that, like this year, you're expanding the playoffs and the regular season is not going to end till October 5th. So we'll have baseball in November, which is a little weird for me.
Frankly, that's one of the things they need to change the most, okay? Baseball's not meant to be played in cold weather, and then we're playing the most important games of the year in cold weather. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's really ridiculous. I am not a fan of the universal DH.
Of course you're not, you old man.
I don't like the DH. I think if you are going to be a major league pitcher, you should learn how to hit.
Stop. That's ridiculous. You've been watching pitchers hit your whole entire life. Name me 3 that can hit decent. You can't.
Shohei Ohtani.
Ridiculous. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, you can really only do one, but like part of that is the way that they're trained. It's like that specialty, once you hit high school and you're a pitcher, you don't worry about hitting anymore, and I think that's a detriment to the game. I also think that eliminating the shift, I think too many teams do use the shift. I don't think you can eliminate that.
You can do whatever you want. You're Major League Baseball.
If you want to win against people playing the shift all the time, Make your hitters learn how to hit to the opposite field.
Oh my
You
God,
wanna
you
make
sound
it,
so old right now. You're done.
You
want to
make it more exciting.
You sound so old right now. You sound so old.
Have players that can do more than just one thing. I get
Yes,
tired of
Chris,
going out there
you
seeing people
baseball
either
fans have
strike
been
out or
saying
hit a
this
home
for
run.
years, and nobody watches your sport. Do you understand that? Like, I'm not telling you that you're wrong, Chris, but what I'm telling you is that you need to understand that baseball is going to have to change. The grand old game that you have loved is not resonating with people anymore, Chris. They're losing numbers on TV. They're losing number on national games. They're losing numbers of people in the stadiums for live games.
Why?
Your precious
Why?
rules
It's
don't
not
matter
because
anymore
people
to
are.
people.
It's not because that people are upset about the shift or the DH. It's because
Yes, it is.
It's
Yes,
because
it
there's
is. It's
way
not
too many.
exciting to
It's
watch
way too
baseball.
long. You need to limit the pitch time. I think that's a good rule. Limit it to about 14 seconds at maximum between pitches for the pitcher. I think you need to limit the number of pitcher changes throughout the game. I think that takes up way more time than anything else. Every time a new pitcher comes in, you got to have a commercial break. He has to have 10 to 12 warm-up pitches before he's apparently ready to pitch, when he should have been doing that in the bullpen. I think if you're going to bring in a reserve, he comes straight in from the bullpen and we're ready to go. I get tired of all this extra drawn-out games. You get to the playoffs, you're looking at 4-hour games for 9 innings, and that's a bit ridiculous because you're using every pitcher on your roster. You have to have so many specialized relievers that you're taking away from your bench spots for your fielders, and I think that's where, if you want a more exciting product to put on TV, you shorten the game by eliminating that type of stuff. All those extra times between pitches, pitcher changes, all that jazz.
Chris is
All
hot.
right,
Chris is
filibuster.
hot.
Holy smoke.
Oh.
Goodness gracious. Chris just filibustered us right there. My God, like he was an old man up in Congress just filibustering us right there. Just reading off an old scroll of like what baseball was played in the 1920s. My goodness. He didn't drop any of this old man yells at clouds when Evan Altman was on. I am completely floored by Chris's opposition to anything that will make baseball more exciting. Let me go to Mr. Williams here because we've heard plenty from Chris and me and Jimmy. Mr. Williams, were you hoping for some changes to the grand old game of baseball, or are you a moron like Chris and you want everything to go back to the way it was in the 40s?
I'm a little in between. I mean, I love the strategy of the National League, so I don't mind pitchers hitting, but I understand that the CBA wants an extra guy on these rosters. Extra DH means more money for the players, so I get that. And when we had Schwarber, man, that was awesome when we had the extra DH. So, but I am with Chris. I would love to see a 14-second like pitch clock with nobody on, and I think they proposed 19 seconds with runners on, maybe coming in 2023. That's huge, man. I mean, 14 seconds is quick. I mean, compared to what we're seeing right now. So that is really going to speed up the games. I think that's going to help a lot. Baseball just needs more balls in play. Put the pun right there wherever you want it. But I mean, the most exciting play in baseball, I think, is the triple or the guy going from first to home, on a double. So the baseball needs more balls in play. I'm happy that it's back though. Hey, first South Bend Cubs game Friday, April 8th, home opener, beautiful stadium. Come out and see some South Bend Cubs.
Couple other big things that happened. First of all, Apple announced that they have Friday Night Baseball now, 2 games on Apple TV Plus. So that's kind of Apple starting to get in and testing the waters, maybe for a huge deal coming up with Major League Baseball. But something I think all of us would like, because we love the NBA draft, we love the NBA lottery. Baseball will now have a lottery for the top 6 spots. But I believe from the research I've done, it's every team that did not make the playoffs has a chance to get in that top 6. It's just obviously the teams, the 11, 12, 13th places there are not going to be able to have a big chance for that. So the top 6 spots will be a lottery system to prevent tanking, which I don't know. We'll see what happens there.
We know that's not going to work. It doesn't work in the NBA. They do the same thing.
Correct. But we've got baseball, Rod. Are you completely pumped now to see where Chris Bryant and Anthony Rizzo signed that's not in Chicago?
No, I'm not. Baseball can miss me, man. Baseball can absolutely miss me. We'll see if I decide to come back, but I'm so on the other side of all of the arguments my good friend and co-host Mr. Chris King just laid down, man. Like, I'm so on the other side of all of those. Like, in my old age now, I've gotten to the point where I'm like, okay, traditions are cool, but like, I don't have time. I want to watch something that's exciting and fun, and other sports are way more exciting and fun than baseball is. And all you keep hearing from baseball owners and baseball fans is, "Oh, it used to be this way and it used to be that way." And I don't understand. I don't understand how a fan can say, "I'm all cool with the pitch clock," which is something that's never happened in baseball's history before, but then say, "Nah, we can't get rid of the shift." Like, I don't understand how, like, you're like, one rule I'm fine with completely changing, but other rules that might make it a more exciting game, we can't do that.
I mean, eliminating the shift in baseball would be like telling the NFL, like, sorry, you can't run a dime package anymore. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. Or
like the NBA telling people that you can't just camp out a 7-footer in the middle. Like, maybe the NBA doing that. Maybe would it seem like that? The NBA's done that, and we love the NBA.
I mean, I don't like it as much as I like college basketball, and you're allowed to do that in college. I'm just saying you're wanting to eliminate one type of strategy and employ another one. And all I'm arguing is not employing your strategy and employing a different strategy. You don't want people to make shifts against your better hitters. Teach them how to hit to the opposite field.
That's not happening, though, Chris. It's been years now, and these guys aren't doing it. You're watching baseball more than I am, and you see it more than I do. These guys step up, they swing 8 times, miss 3, and sit down, and nobody cares. That's killing baseball.
I completely agree with you. That's part of what's killing baseball. Everyone is hitting for the fences, and the home run, chicks dig the long ball. I get it, but like, that doesn't make for nearly as an exciting game.
But they're swinging for the fences because of the shift. That's why they're swinging for the fences.
No, just hit it in the opposite field where no one's playing defense.
But they're not doing that.
I'm telling you, that's what they need to do, though. I get that they're not, because all these, and like, I know I'm a stat guy.
People show you who they are, Chris. People show you who they are. Baseball hitters have showed you they're not going to go the other way, so take away the shift.
Yeah. I think you take away something else, and there's my grandfather clock telling you how old I really am.
You are a grandfather. That is true. And if I don't wrap this baseball talk up right now, I'm liable to blow a gasket and just keep yelling at you, and nobody really wants that. So let's move on to a tad bit of basketball here. We're not going to touch on too much basketball because we've been pretty basketball-centric the last couple of weeks, NBA-wise, and we have a big NCAA spectacular coming up for everybody next week. Mr. Williams, are you crunching numbers in preparation for your big tournament show next week?
Oh, yeah, man. I got the shot quality chart up. I got Ken Pom rankings up. I got Bart Torvik rankings up. Everyone's like, what in the world are you talking about? This is gibberish to me, but it's all college basketball, baby. Hey, side note, man, this has got to be bittersweet for Rod and for us, but Rod is a way bigger fan than we are. But on the same day that IU comes back from 17 points down and wins a huge game against Michigan, Coach Tom Crean gets fired from Georgia after 26 losses, a school record.
Yeah, it was rough for Mr. Crean this year.
He was, what was he, like 45 and 75 as his tenure in Georgia? Not very good.
You can't outrun weird. I've been telling people that just like I told everybody Jim Harbaugh's not coming in the NFL because you can't outrun weird. I'm telling you.
Yeah, Crean is a great guy when it comes to the face of your program, but maybe when it comes to basketball strategy on the court, he's not really your guy. But hey, Georgia, he did give you Anthony Edwards, who was a top pick coming out of there, and you can at least claim him. But yeah, Tom Crean is out in Georgia. I was a little sad about that.
He could always develop talent. Like, that was real clear. He has a lot of players in the NBA from Marquette, IU, and Georgia. He could always develop talent. He could not change game plans or make adjustments in game, and that was his downfall.
Sad to see Tom Crean go, and we are sad to see Mr. Williams go for this week, but we will have him back one more time next week for the NCAA Spectacular. Jimmy, Chris, stick around with me, though, for a second here. I got a big basketball question I want to talk about. All right, so we are recording this on Thursday evening, March the 10th. The Brooklyn Nets just played in Philadelphia. One Benjamin Simmons was on the bench for the Brooklyn Nets in Philadelphia, so we know there was some abhorrent fan behavior from the fans in Philadelphia. And earlier this week, we had Russell Westbrook come out and talk about how he is really, really mad at some of the abhorrent fan behavior that he is hearing from Lakers fans. So I thought it might be interesting for a few minutes here for us to talk about the state of NBA fandom in the NBA right now. Jimmy, Does Russell Westbrook have a point with any of his gripes he brought up earlier this week?
Anything that is said to his kids or his wife or family or anything, yes, 100% off limits. You've got to be a real low life to do that. I'm not going to lie. Everything else that is said to him, Westbrook, things like that, that's what you signed up for. You're in LA. You've got a $40 million contract. But more importantly, he's not doing anything to improve his game because he doesn't think his game needs improving. So he is not self-aware enough to realize that people are saying this to him because they know he's not doing anything to help the Lakers win. He's being himself. It's not working. Everyone sees that. Everyone tells him that, and he still doesn't know. So family, off limits. What he's doing on the court, that's justified. I'm sorry.
And Chris, the other part of this that I really wonder about is, are we seeing some of this because so many of these guys now have zero time for the media? And Russell Westbrook is one of them, right? He has basically been a pain in the side to the media his whole entire career, talks down to them, acts as if they have no business talking to him, doesn't answer their questions, bullies some of them, all of the above, right? I mean, Are we at just a bad place now between the relationship of players and media and players and fans? Like, are we just getting to the point where this is just never going to be repaired and all of these terrible interactions are what we're going to see here on out, Chris?
It's hard. So there is a lot more media coverage and everything else like that than there was even like 12 years ago, realistically. So I do wish that he would take more of a Marshawn Lynch type stance, if he was going to be in front of the media and didn't want to talk to him. Marshawn Lynch endeared himself to all of us by the way he dealt with the media. I'm just here so I don't get fined. Like, that type of stuff was funny, but like, it was evident that he never did really enjoy that part of the business. And there's going to be players in all leagues that aren't going to enjoy that part of the business, but you can't take such a confrontational stance against the media because they're the ones that are covering you and you need them to get your story or whatever else out there. I do see fans acting worse now than they did, 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know if it's because they're getting more emboldened. They feel like they know these players more. I'm not sure. I feel like it's getting closer to having another Malice in the Palace situation, and the NBA desperately does not want that to happen. And so they're going to have to do something.
Yeah, and Jimmy, I want to echo what you said there, right? If anybody is attacking Russell Westbrook's wife and his kids when they're there to watch him at the stadium, that's terrible. If anybody's saying, Russell, you deserve to die, your wife deserves to die, that's absolutely terrible. But Jimmy, I'm so 100% with you on the other fact too. Westbrook is completely inbounds and completely warranted. And hey, Russ, you want to know what you've absolutely guaranteed? That every single other stop you go to now on the rest of the NBA calendar, people will refer to you as Westbrook because you decided to make it a huge deal and say to everybody, oh man, my family name means a bunch to me. I can't believe you would disrespect me by disrespecting my family name. Nobody's doing any of that, Russ, okay? You're making it about that to try to make it seem as if you're a victim and everybody else is being terrible and you're not. It's time for you to accept some responsibility here, Russ, okay? Sure, no one should be able to threaten your kids or your wife death or you death, but the rest of it, pretty in bounds, man. And if you don't want people to be getting on you, do something different, or B, just keep your mouth shut. Like Chris said, Marshawn Lynch, don't go out there and be obstinate and be yelling at the media and yelling at the fans and telling them they're wrong and you're right. That's not going to get you anywhere except another team, which will be your fourth team in 4 different years, Russ. And after that one, it's probably done for you. Look at what happened to Allen Iverson.
It's the same thing. Iverson was even worse. And really, don't disrespect my name. You're kind of disrespecting your name by not adapting and trying to be a better teammate. And so, yeah, that's what and guess what?
Great point.
Fans can boo. Fans can have, they can't cross the line, no question, but you got to be better, man. You really do. You shouldn't be playing at all. You're not good right now.
And then what's Steph Curry doing? What's Steph Curry doing, basically? I mean, I get it, man. It's they're all together. They have the same job or whatever. But Steph Curry saying that the fans are out of line for getting on Russell Westbrook the way that they are is just, come on, Steph. You don't need to wade into those waters, man. Nobody says it's okay for his family to be threatened, but the rest of it is completely in bounds. So for the Steph to try to stick up for him, I'm just like, man, I don't know where we're headed in the NBA these days as much as I love it.
Well, and, with everyone, constructive criticism or criticism is hard to take. It's hard to take by everybody. We all get it in our daily lives. They have a bigger spotlight on them. They're going to get more of it. That's all it is.
Well, and there's so many people that have gotten used to be able to bash everybody for anything, whether it's on social media or anywhere else, that it seems like nothing is off limits to some people, and they will say whatever they want, whenever they want, and nothing else matters. And I think part of that is the type of society we are in. It seems like everybody can say anything they want, no matter how horrible and violent it is. They feel like they can do whatever they want, and it's not good, because that's why you're getting people saying stuff to family members, kids especially. It's just wrong, and like college basketball has had this problem in the past. There's been some horrible crowds saying horrible things to essentially kids on other teams. That type of stuff is not what anybody wants to see.
Jimmy, let me ask you this, one other little last angle that I had here. At any point, can we blame Adam Silver here? Because I think for a couple of years, Adam Silver has seen that his players have been getting more and more contentious with the media and less responsive to the things that they need to do vis-a-vis that media-wise. And I don't think Adam Silver's done anything but back his players. And so I just wonder if now these players think to themselves, oh, I can do and say whatever I want. It doesn't matter. Does Adam Silver have any blame in this, Jimmy?
Yes, he's the opposite of David Stern, and David Stern was no saint by any stretch of the imagination. But under Adam Silver, you really don't have to talk to the media if you don't want to. And then he's going to say, well, COVID had a lot to do with that over the past couple of years. Fine. Well, guess what? You've relaxed all of your COVID protocols. So it's time to start getting those players back in. They have to face the media, because without the media, you would not have a job. The media works for the networks. The networks pay an exorbitant amount of money for these NBA games, and they want the games. But as we do, people aren't watching the games as much as they're listening and going through the trades and things like that. Everyone's listening to all these podcasts. Everyone's listening, going to all the websites and stuff. This is important to keep that relationship going. And if players aren't going to talk to the media, interest is going to go down, ratings will go down, and that means money will go down.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And I like what Chris said, too, about trolling is essentially the corn of the realm these days, right? The more that you troll somebody, the more amplification you get on your brand and the more notice you get. And it's absolutely atrocious. And I'm not entirely sure how we switch up the narrative on that and get back to where that's not the case. But, I mean, you just look in the political forum, you look in the actors these days. I mean, like, whoever can say the worst thing, and then boom, all of a sudden you get an instant notification about the terrible thing that person said. And it's like, hey, maybe these people might stop saying these terrible things if we didn't give them the platform of immediately sending out a push notification because of the stupid thing they just said.
Agreed. And, like you said, with Ben Simmons getting roundly booed today, although it was the Ben Simmons revenge game with a 29-point win in Philadelphia, it's only going to get worse. So I think Silver needs to step in and try to do something there for sure.
And what was Doc Rivers talking about? We need to run a Ben Simmons tribute video. Like, things have just gotten out of control if the Philadelphia 76ers do a tribute video for Ben Simmons.
It would have been funny if they did like an ironic tribute video. That would have been great.
Oh, so but what happened to Ben Simmons is not surprising or really all that bad in my book. Of course, you're going to get booed. You forced yourself away from a team that drafted you. People were your fans until this year, and you turned their back on them for whatever reason it may be, legitimate or not. You're going to get booed. That's just the way it is, and it happens.
Those people booed Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, Ben Simmons was fine. I just wanted to get the fact that Brooklyn beat Philly by 29.
I've seen players get traded away and they get booed when they go back and play against that team, which makes no sense in my book because they didn't ask to be traded. They just got traded away and they get booed when they come back. Like, that was, I don't know. So, but like what Ben Simmons got, I don't have a problem with. Some of the stuff that Westbrook was talking about, I agree. Don't complain about your name. People, that's the first thing we learn how to do as kids is make fun of somebody's name. Right, that's the first joke we learn in elementary school, right?
Yeah, he's certainly got to get called a Westbrook before, or Westbrook a time or two before now. Come on.
Right? If not something worse, like West Bitch.
Yeah, I'm sure he got that a time or two as well, and I'm
Right.
sure he flew off the handle at somebody because that dude seems like he's got a bit of a temper on him.
So, Rod, I hate to throw a little NFL in here, but we had another QB carousel move that just happened.
Really? Is Williams still with us? Williams, are you still with us?
It's nothing special. The 49ers.
Yeah, I am.
The 49ers gave quarterback Nate Sudfeld a 1-year fully guaranteed deal, and a lot of people around the league are all believing he has starter potential in the league. I think this has a lot more to do with Nate Sudfeld is probably going to be the backup, which means Jimmy G is one step closer to leaving Williams, don't you think?
Yeah, that definitely seems like that's the case. Yeah.
That's who they need to have start. IU grad.
I knew you
I
were
knew
going to
it.
say
I
that.
get it
I knew
done.
you were going to. That's why. That's literally the reason I brought it up, just so you guys. That's an IU quarterback in football. They're good players.
He played well at IU. He's a talented quarterback. Maybe not like NFL starter, but like he's definitely a capable backup.
All right, sorry, Rod.
No, that's okay. Listen, the QB carousel will be constantly moving. If we have any other need to bring Mr. Williams back on, we absolutely will. But I promise you, we will have Mr. Williams next week. And I also promise you that our episode will be out Thursday morning. So you can listen to our NCAA tournament thoughts from Chris and from Williams and me making a bunch of jokes and Jimmy probably having a couple of thoughts too. But don't listen to me when it comes to picking games. I've watched 0 college basketball games all year. I've watched a half of IU and Purdue, and then I've watched a couple other minutes of a few random IU games. I am not the man when it comes to picking college basketball games, but luckily my two friends on Balls and Brew here will help you out with the picks. So Jimmy, we can guarantee this will be out for people next Thursday before the games start, correct?
Of course.
All right, and then we also have a wrestling episode coming out next week because we have a boatload of news to talk about. But speaking of wrestling, we have our Mount Rushmore episode available in this feed right now. And Jimmy, I will contend it's one of the best Yeah We Know podcasts we've ever done.
It is filled with very strong opinions, very wrong opinions, but a great show nonetheless. So, yes, at Yeah We Know Pod, if you have your Mount Rushmore that you'd like to tweet at us.
And then one other thing I want to say is if that wasn't enough here on the Morgan You Know Podcast Network, the Mrs. Morgan You Know and I have something cooked up for everybody. You heard a little ad for it running at the beginning of this episode. Every Wednesday morning when you wake up, there will be a 15-minute mini episode recap of every episode of Survivor. So you can listen to the Mrs. Morgan You Know and I wrap up last week's episode before you listen to the new episode. So check this same feed every Wednesday for a pod we are calling Come On In, which is something that Jeff Probst says every episode of Survivor. So Mondays, wrestling, Wednesday, Survivor, Friday, Balls and Brew. That is the schedule moving forward here on the Morgan You Know podcast. So with all of that said, the final word, of course, goes to our man in North Carolina, the old man, the baseball lover himself, Chris King.
Goodbye, Internet.